Hey guys, it's me, Hot Frog, but you knew that already. I've been kind of laying off videos for a little bit, but I'm gonna start getting into them. I've just been kind of, thinking about a lot of things lately. Just a lot of things from my past and various things that have been going on. I just wanted to share a story with you guys real quick. I know I usually do funny stuff, but this is kind of serious. It is to me, at least. Have you ever had a movie, a book, a record, a short story, even a conversation with somebody that impacted you? It came along at the right time and made a huge change in your life. Has that ever happened to you? That's happened to me a number of times. And I want to kind of tell a story of this record. And you're going to be surprised when I show you what it is, but I'll explain why. But this record, when I bought it, it had a huge impact on me. Backing up a little bit, I have a brother and a sister. I had two brothers. My youngest brother was born 2 months premature and he passed away. He was born in November of 1981, the same year this record came out, and the same month this record came out. It was like within a week of each other. But my brother Sean, he was born 2 months too early. And he stayed in the NICU. He was born with a giant hole in his heart. And they tried doing a lot of stuff to him, and he wasn't able to come home. He survived for about 2.5 months. Went out to the hospital a couple of times, actually probably close to 5 times. Went out there, scrubbed up, had a hospital gown on, and I got a hold of him. And this baby was so tiny. I remember when my son was born, and he was little. He was full term, and he was tiny, but my brother Sean was like tiny. I mean, it was, and I just knew, holding my arms, I knew that he was my brother and stuff, but at the same time, I just knew that he wasn't going to make it home. My dad and my stepmom both thought that things were going to happen, but just in the pit of my stomach, I just knew that he wasn't going to make it home. So, January of 1982, my brother passes away. And at the funeral, my stepmom is just devastated. She's hysterical, which, she just lost her little baby. And this was just the most heart-wrenching thing to see her go through all this, and it was just terrible. My dad, on the other hand, just sat there with his arms folded, just a blank look on his face, like he wanted to be anywhere but there. It was terrible. So anyways, I was the oldest of the family, and my mom and dad got divorced when I was a young kid. And when they got divorced, I went to go live with my dad. And somewhere along the ways, we swapped roles, kind of. I know I wasn't young enough, or actually old enough to have a job. I was only 6 at the time. But we kind of swapped places. I made sure he'd get up on time and do, for work and whatever he needed to do. And the whole rest of the family learned to lean on me to be the one that was the one, I don't know, setting the course or whatever, but the reliable one that they could trust in. So with all this going on, I'm just like, I don't know how to fix this. This is, because I was used to like putting out fires and, consoling people and different things. This was something that I could not fix no matter how hard I tried. And at the time, I was 14 years old. And, I'm supposed to fix and help my family get through this. I didn't know how to do it. So a little bit later, my dad and stepmom were having problems and fights that they always had, even before Sean was born, even after Sean was born. So in March of 1982, they get the idea to send me to Maine to live with my grandmother, my dad's mother. Some lady I met like 2 other times my whole life. It was just kind of weird. So anyways, prior, and I know I'm jumping all over the place, I apologize. But prior to me going to Maine, there was some changes and stuff that happened at the school that I was going to. This was my freshman year of high school. And just for a note to keep in your mind, I know a couple words of Spanish now. I've learned them from working at different jobs and various things and friends and whatnot. But at the time, I did not know a single word of Spanish outside of taco or burrito. Seriously. So my freshman year, my counselor decides, hey, we should put this guy in a history class that's bilingual. It's pretty much an English as a second language history class. So I've got all this stuff going on with my family, trying to make my way through school, whole new situation. Now you're in high school, which is kind of stressful enough. My baby brother died. That was a lot of stress. Now I'm in a class that is English is spoken as a second language. Spanish, which I did not know, is the primary language. So I'm trying to make my way through the class. The teacher was speaking in Spanish about 80 to 90% of the time. Everybody was getting mad at me because he'd have to explain things in English. And everything was falling apart, some of my other classes, and it was just like, it was the worst time of my life. And my dad was a very abusive person. My dad always told me he didn't want to hear anything I had to say. He would lie to me about everything. He lied to me, said that my mom didn't want to have anything to do with me. That's why she dumped me on him. All this weird stuff. And I bought into all that. So I go to live with Maine. I go to live in Maine. And it's a whole new situation. Again, I'm freshman in high school. Now it's a new school I'm going to halfway through my freshman year. So I have a lot of catch up to do. My grandma knew a lot of people in this town because it's a pretty small town. And there's a lot of people that she knew that had kids that were my own age. And I connected with them right away. And what was awesome is they didn't know anything about my family back home. So I could just kind of create any scenario that I wanted to. I didn't lie or anything like that or even stretch the truth. It was just a fresh start for me, which is what I needed so badly. So this was March. I went to go live in Maine, and my grandma gave me jobs to do. And I learned, I earned a allowance from her. Back home, I never got an allowance. It was just basically, I was supposed to clean the house just simply because I lived there, and that was what they required of me. They would take off and leave me. It's kind of a Cinderella story, but the bad part of the Cinderella story. So even mowing yards for the neighbors, I thought maybe I get some money this way. The neighbors would write a check. My dad says, oh yeah, I'll cash it and I'll give it to him. The money went straight into his bank account. Never saw a dime of it. So I'm working for my grandma, and they had a tinsmithing shop. So I'm, doing errands and doing some stuff in the tinsmithing shop. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. I'm getting a little bit of money and stuff. And then I notice, my friends are having these clothes. And I said, hey, grandma, I kind of want to get this, kind of want that. And she's like, well, if you want, we'll do up to this point. But if you want this other stuff, you might want to think about getting a job. And I never had a job before. Again, like I said, I was only 14. So a couple months before I turned 15, she got me a job at a yacht club. I was scrubbing toilets, setting up tables, sweeping, mopping the floor. When the lunchtime was over, I'd clean up everything, and it was just kind of like a few hours in the afternoon during the summertime. It was awesome. Learned a lot, learned how to get along with people and different things. And it was awesome to have a check that I earned. And somewhere I've got a picture of me standing in front of the yacht club sign holding my very first paycheck. So I went, set up a bank account. My grandma told me to put a little bit in savings and blah, blah, blah. And she told me that, you can go, spend something, but, be reasonable. Don't just blow it all so you won't have any money. She was like the first person to ever really talked any reason with me, Usually people just didn't want to bother with me. So anyways, my very first check for my very first job, I went to this place where we'd all hang out. all my friends and stuff would go to this place called Laverdier's. And they recently got bought out by Rite Aid. But when they were Laverdier's, it was kind of like a Walgreens on steroids. From what I remember, there was like 6 or 7 aisles that had like grocery type stuff. The rest of it is like the regular stuff you find at Walgreens or Rite Aid. And they had a big pharmacy in the back. And then off to the side, this is where me and my friends would always hang out. They had an arcade, not just like 1 or 2 games. I might be exaggerating, but I think they had close to 40 pinball and arcade games. And they were like the top of the line games at that time. There was like Asteroids, Tempest, Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, and all the other ones that were those popular games in like 82. Brand new machines. Some of the machines you'd use Susan B. Anthony tokens, like the old dollars with that looked like an octagon, and you'd get 5 plays when you use those. And it was like the most amazing thing. So in addition to all the stuff they had there, they had a section that had cassettes and tapes, and they had, it seemed like they just started getting some VHS tapes because this was 82, still a brand new technology back then. So anyways, digging through there, I'm looking through the record selection. And one of these guys that I met through my grandma's and his family played guitar. And he was really into Ozzy Osbourne. And he would play Crazy Train and stuff. I'm like, awesome. So my very first check, I'm going through there, and I find this. Ozzy Osbourne, Diary of a Madman. And I'm like, oh, cool. I had never seen this before. Brand new Ozzy. Like I said, it came out in 81. I'm like, okay, does it have Crazy Train on here? No, it doesn't have Crazy Train. And I heard my friend talking about Over the Mountain and Flying High Again. I go, okay, I'll get it. My very first check, I bought this. This is not my copy. Sadly to say, I got rid of all my records years ago. And even though this record was important to me, I gave it away to a friend of mine. But I found this recently. I know the cover's kind of scuffed up and stuff. I have this on CD as well. This right here is an original pressing, not a reissue, but one of the original ones that was put out on Jet Records. And the inside, don't want to drop it, the inside is like perfect mint condition. And I love this album so much, I tried to style myself after this guy, Randy Rhoads, a guitar player. He passed away shortly after this picture was taken. He was only 25 years old. I used to be skinny like that, and I used to wear the skinny black jeans, and I even had a pair of those dance shoes. Looking at them now, I think they're kind of goofy and corny, but back in the day, I thought I was cool dressing like Randy here. But this album here is more than just really cool music. I listen to this thing over and over and over again. My favorite song off the whole album is You Can't Kill Rock and Roll. And remember I told you that people used to lie to me a lot? Listen to the lyrics at the very beginning of the song. It says, how many times can they fill me with lies and I listen again? Twisting the truth and they're playing around with my head. Okay? The things they will do and the things they will say when they don't really understand. And I'm just like, 14 years old, hearing those lyrics, I'm just like, wow, this guy gets it. This guy knows this guy knows what I'm going through. And then some of the other songs on here, like Believer, one of the things it says, dreams that have shattered may not have mattered. Take another point of view. Don't just despair about when things don't work out, but stop and regroup, refocus. And, I didn't have anybody coming alongside me and saying, hey, you're doing a good job. It was always like, wow, you're still here. That kind of attitude. So hearing all these encouraging words from this, to me, they were encouraging words. It was amazing. And then my grandma heard Diary of a Madman. When I brought this home, she goes, oh, what'd you get? And I showed her, I go, oh yeah, my friend Kitty, and he's into Ozzy and stuff. I showed her and she's like, She's like, okay, She goes, yeah, he looks like he's a madman. Just all disheveled hair and stuff. So she heard Diary of a Madman. and she heard the string arrangements and everything on there, and she thought it was the most amazing thing to have. And then she listened to a couple of the other stuff, not like sit down and listen to the whole thing entirely, but she'd hear bits and pieces, and I was playing it, and she goes, wow, that is really good, because she heard all the classical influences coming out through Randy's playing, as well as the choir and the string arrangements in Diary of a Madman. So she encouraged me. I bought my first guitar when I was in Maine. She encouraged me to play guitar. She encouraged me to start listening to more music, both rock and, start getting into listening to some classical music. And it just really expanded my horizons in ways that I am forever grateful for. That won't fit back in there. Well, there we go. But this made such a huge impact on me. I can't even begin to describe. It came in when I was like this guy. I felt like how this guy looks. Seriously, with everything going on. That came in, and wow, it just changed everything. I lived in Maine for 2 years. When I came back home, my surroundings hadn't changed, but I had changed. So all the stuff that they're trying to force feed me before, I wasn't having a part of it. I just go, yeah, whatever, and I'd go about my own thing. The words they said no longer impacted me the way they did before. And it was just amazing. Something as simple as an album. You guys might have a similar story. It might not be as heavy or involved. It might be something that, might be something more comical. If you feel like sharing, please do that in the comments section. Or if you want to make a response video to this, that's cool too. Just, send me the link. I appreciate hearing from everybody. I appreciate the comments that everybody leaves. I appreciate everybody who's taken the time to subscribe to my channel and to watch my videos. And I'm really thankful for the people that come to my middle of the night live streams we do every Friday night to Saturday morning. And just, keep it up. We're in this together, regardless of who's fighting or whatever's going on. As humanity, we are on this all together. I just wish some people would figure things out. A new friend of mine, Michael Pilmer, he's got a cool channel, check him out. But when we talk about a lot of things that are going on, the craziness that's going on YouTube, he says that they should just settle it with potato sack races. And I agree. So when we get the potato sack races scheduled, we'll be looking for you to sign up. See you guys next time. And I'll do something more lighthearted to kind of offset this. I know this was like heavy. I probably shared too much. Some of you guys might subscribe. Some of you guys might have a worse opinion of me than you already did. But I did it. So there you go. I think I'm going to go listen to this. Have a great one. Bye-bye.